Hey everyone, back in late 2020, AJ Johnson was one of the first guests to come on Bowling with the Pfeff and talk with me live. Now, he has had plenty of success both on the PBA Tour and in life since then. He's now a national tour champion. He's a father, and he's moved from the Chicagoland area to Kenosha, Wisconsin. Now, what that means as far as what's most important is yet to be seen. My opinion, we'll see what develops there. But one thing is for certain, he is excited to get back out on tour for the 2026 season. I had the chance to have a conversation with him ahead of last month's Junior Hall of Fame celebrity event at Classic Lanes Greenfield. Here's what he had to say about that and a whole lot more. What's life like for you these days?
Busy, very busy. It's a lot of fun. Sometimes a little trying at times, but yeah, it's fun. Just trying to do whatever I can to be a good dad and take care of the household and take care of the family when I travel. I've been traveling quite a bit, doing clinics and appearances and things like that, and so it gets tougher when I'm not home to kind of help with certain things. But Allie does a great job. She's a rock star. She works full time. She makes sure that Brantley is up and ready to go when she's ready to go, and he goes to daycare, and then when she's done, she picks him up, and she holds the fort down when I'm not home. And even when I am home and I disrupt the schedule, whenever that is, she's still great. Like even after long travel days, she still kind of realizes that she'll let me catch up on some sleep and get up when Brantley's up, which is pretty early. So, but yeah, no, it's great. Brantley's awesome. He'll be 2 in March. He's big. He's almost 3 feet tall and about 30 pounds. So he's a one-man wrecking ball around the house. That's for sure. But it's so fun, like seeing him grow and seeing him pick up on all the little things. And now his vocabulary before turning 2 is unbelievable. I mean, there's certain things like, we now have to watch what we say around him because he repeats very, very well. So yeah, it's just a lot of fun, and it's really cool now. Like, even if I've been gone for like a week or so, and I come home and I go to pick him up at daycare, and he sees me, he gets a big smile on his face, and he says, "Hi, Daddy," and it's really, really cool. And really tugs at the heart when that happens. Like, even though I'm gone and I haven't been home for 3-4 days, and then I show up, he still recognizes me and knows the difference, and it's a lot of fun. So yeah, it's just getting ready for a couple different things. Getting ready for next tour season, which isn't until February, but then also getting ready for Hong Kong when I leave on November 20th for the World Championships. So a lot of things going on right now.
Yeah, and yet you still made time for this great event. Tell us about this. What does this mean to you? Why was it important to get here? And, what do you expect to see here? Have you done this before?
Yeah, I actually bowled at Junior Hall of Fame a couple of years ago when just the main event. So like the tournament portion. I was there all day and hung out with everyone. So now getting to do the whole weekend and do the charity event tonight with the Pro-Am, and then bowl the tournament tomorrow morning with all the kids and everyone. And yeah, it's just really important, seeing a tournament like this grow to as big as it has, and wanting to be a part of it, give back to all the kids, and give back, in a way that I can, that was given to me when I was growing up, and try to just be a part as much as I can to grow the sport of bowling and continue growing bowling and make it as big as we possibly can. These kids they're the next generation, and we want to continue to see them come out and bowl, and just hopefully they see the stepping stones that now my age of generation, which is crazy to think because I was the young one at the time and wanting to start my career, and now I'm kind of that seasoned veteran in a way that these kids can kind of see that the stepping stones and the groundwork being laid by guys that are my age now on tour. And So yeah, it's just I commend everyone with the staff of the Junior Hall of Fame and what they've done and what they've grown it to be. It's really, really cool to see something now close to my home, because I now live in Wisconsin, that is like this, that kids have the opportunity to bowl in a part of the season and a part of the year where there's not really a lot of bowling going on. You still have your youth tournaments here and there and whatnot, but high schools are ramping up, colleges are ramping up, and so there's not a lot of stuff outside of that to bowl. And so this gives them another avenue to bowl and to earn scholarship money, and just have a great weekend with some of us that come out to bowl it.
Yeah. So you kind of touched upon what I was thinking would be next, and that's you're a Kenosha guy now.
Yeah.
If these kids are like me, they're going to claim you as their own because you have the benefit of the shorter commute here.
Sure.
You're a Wisconsin guy. I don't know what that does to your rooting interest as far as sports teams, but we'll work on that.
Yeah.
What I want to know is, now that you're one of us and you've got these other Wisconsin kids here who are no doubt looking up to you no matter what state you live in, what do you hope they do to kind of help them give the best chance to live out their dream? If it's bowling in college, if it's bowling on the PBA Tour. You were there once.
Yeah.
You had big dreams.
Absolutely.
And you put in the work, you did what was necessary, and you went out and got it. It didn't come to you.
No, for sure. I'm sure if my dad was sitting right here, he could tell you, all the hours that I spent in the bowling center, and, all the times that I was getting 25 phone calls at 2 o'clock in the morning because I was at the bowling center practicing. I wasn't out, causing havoc around town with friends and whatnot. I was simply at the bowling center just practicing and trying to figure out ways to get better and just bowl and bowl and bowl and get better and better and better. And I was like that with every sport I played. I mean, I wanted to, if it was football and we had Thursday nights off, I'd go home after school and I'd grab my dad and say, hey, can we go to the field real quick so I can, throw a couple routes here, or I can, warm my leg up and practice, punting and hitting certain spots and whatnot. So I've kind of always been that way and felt like I've been wired a little differently, but I feel like in sports you kind of have to be. But yeah, I mean, these kids, like, there's so many more avenues nowadays than there was even when I was growing up. I had the ISYLs in Illinois that I bowled a ton. We had junior gold. We had some of the youth tournaments up here in Wisconsin that I bowled, Phil Brylos tournaments. So now there's even more. And so what I tell a lot of the kids is the best way to learn and the best way to get better is to go and do it. Experience is the best teacher. You can practice and bowl, and follow your own transition. And sometimes, depending on what you're bowling on, it can be super easy, or it still can be pretty challenging. But I always felt like I got a lot of growth and a lot of learning out of bowling tournaments and following other kids and following other bowlers that were better than me, and seeing like, okay, this is what they're doing and what they're beating me at. Like, how do I get to that point? And how do I get to that spot where, that may not be my A game, but they're not, beating me by 150 pins at what they're doing well. They're only, 10, 15 pins ahead of me. And then when I get my A game, like, now it's game on, right? So I would always learn so much from just getting experience. The first time I ever bowled Team USA trials, the reasoning behind it, I told my parents, was like, I want to go and bowl a tournament that I know a lot of better competition bowl, and I want to see how I stack up against them. I want to see where I'm at with all that, so I know, like, when I go back to school, what I need to work on so that I can get to that point, so I can represent my country, I can make Team USA, because that's always been a goal of mine since I was a kid. And fortunately, I bowled really well that week, and it gave me a lot of extra motivation, a lot of extra confidence to continue to go, to continue to keep going, and led me to where I'm at now. But yeah, I mean, just bowl as much as you can. These, like I said, you guys have, there's so many avenues for you guys to bowl tournaments and ways to earn scholarship money. I mean, some of these kids that are bowling these tournaments, like the scholarship money they're accruing is like mind-blowing to me. Like, I thought I had earned a lot, but some of these kids like are doubling and even tripling what I had even earned. And it's because of what they have to bowl, the avenues, the different scholarship tournaments and the different youth tours that are out now. You know, much like what's been growing here with the Junior Hall of Fame. I mean, you know, what they're able to give to these kids is incredible. And you know, when I tell a lot of parents too, like when I bowl pro-ams bowling on the national tour, you know, they're like, oh yeah, you know, they're starting to get into bowling. They kind of show a little enjoyment. I'm like, listen, if they like it, have them bowl these youth tournaments. And I tell them the amount of money, and their eyes like get super big, and they're like, oh my gosh, really? And I said, yeah, like there is so much to be had as a junior bowler right now. And then obviously the more you keep getting better, the more you're going to get recognized by colleges. And that was always my stepping stones. You know, I bowled a lot of youth tournaments, then I bowled in college, and I went all 4 years, got my degree, and that was when I joined the tour. But if I wouldn't have had those avenues before, and I wouldn't have had those tournaments to bowl, you know, I don't know, you know, what kind of recognition I would have gotten with colleges. That gave me open eyes to a lot of different schools to recruit me, and then let me make my decision to where I wanted to go instead of having to, you know, find a program or hopefully the school that I'm gonna go to has a program. You know, I got recruited by 6, 7, 8 different schools, and I got to make a decision, which was pretty cool. But I mean, yeah, the more you bowl those, the better you get in those tournaments, the more you earn. You're gonna open the eyes of colleges, and they're gonna recruit you and want you to be a part of their program, and then that just lays the groundwork for whatever you want to make of it.
Yeah. The other thing that's evolved a lot, specifically in these couple of years since we last talked, is motive.
Oh, yeah.
You know, it's been just incredible to see the growth. I picture the last time, you know, we sat down to interview and kind of the state that the industry was in and the market between the brands. Now, you know, I look at the battle of the brands most recently. You guys are head-to-head with Storm. You look at all the titles that EJ has won since then. You look at the singles champion at this year's OC, who we're going to see at this event, 62 years old and throwing motive equipment and winning. What is it? Why? And how does that impact you to see all your teammates on motive doing so well?
Yeah, it's been awesome. I mean, quite honestly, like if you just kind of take a step back and just look at, you know, what they're doing as a company and, you know, where we've kind of been at, yeah, we can thank EJ a little bit for what's happened on the national tour. I mean, the run he's been on in the last few years has just been incredible. You know, what he's been able to do week in and week out, you know, it just speaks volumes to what he's been able to figure out. And you know, I've had a lot of discussions with Brett on like, hey, what has he figured out? What has he done that, you know, I need to work on to kind of to find so that I'm, you know, in that same realm, because it has nothing to do with the equipment. Our equipment is just continuing to get better and better and better. And, you know, it's really amazing to see the amount of time and effort that gets put in behind closed doors with Brett and the Wilbers and Scott Hewitt and everyone at Motive that goes into the research and design in bowling balls. It seems like every time we get ready to come out with a new ball, like it's an anticipated release because we're so excited to see like what's next. Like what have they figured out? What have, you know, what is it that's going to fit in the bag that's, you know, that we haven't had before, that's going to just go right in and just go seamlessly with everything else that we have, right? So, you know, it's cool. The one thing I do like about them is they do put a lot of time and effort into it. And so, you know, basically what that means is they won't come out with the ball and they won't release the ball to the public until they know that they've figured it out the right way. You know, they don't want to just pump bowling balls out for the sake of pumping out numbers. They want to come out with a ball that they know is going to roll good for not only us on the tour, but, you know, guys that are throwing it in the league, guys that are just bowling recreationally. and they want to make sure that it fits in the bag for everyone that's bowling, and not just the tour guys, right? And they're not just coming out with tons of bowling balls at a time to just release a bunch of numbers and numbers and bowling balls. They really put time and effort into the makeup of it, the chemistry of the cover, the core cover combinations, all that stuff. And yeah, it's really fun to be a part of. It makes my decisions a lot easier when I know that. And it's the other thing too is they're a family. They really treat their players and everyone that enjoys throwing their products. They treat them like family. They never, they're always willing to replace or do something good for anyone that has some issues with equipment or bags or whatever the case may be. They really care, and they really take the time for all of us. And even just being a part of the team since 2020, I felt like I've been a part of the team for 20 years. And it speaks volumes to who they are as people and who they are as a company. And yeah, like I'm so excited to see next year, and I'm excited to see what continues to come out. We just announced a new ball a few days ago, and my gosh, is it good. It's something that we haven't seen in the bag for a little while. From the time that I first drilled it, I got to practice on the World Championship pattern, and I threw 2 shots with it, and I went, well, I guess I'm going to have to make room for that in the bag, because I'm not going to be able to go without that look. So it's really fun and really cool to be a part of, and exciting, because they have the capabilities that they do, and they spend so much time in figuring out what works good with what, and what is it. Like, they always ask us as the players, like, what do you think we're missing? What do you think, what bowling balls from other companies are rolling good, and what are a lot of guys throwing, and how can we put that in our bag? And so they do really take in feedback from us to fill that out, and spend a lot of time doing so.
Sure. When you've got the best in the world right there at your disposal,
yeah,
makes total sense.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, with the Battle of the Brands, it was a lot of fun, having that team thing. Up until the last week, we were leading in points, and we bowled for the brand cup, I guess you want to say. I don't even know what the official name of it was, but yeah, I mean, every week it seemed like we had someone on a show. We won. I don't know the exact numbers off the top of my head, but multiple major championships of the brand, and that's not just EJ. That was somebody else. We had multiple guys making major shows and single shows, and so I think that's opening the eyes to a lot of people, not only just on the PBA Tour, but across bowling, in the whole world. Like, everyone is looking like, oh wow, like those motive balls are starting to roll really good. Like, what is it? What's going on? Why are they doing so well? And ultimately, it's the time that they spend putting the research into the covers and the cores and the makeup of the bowling balls. They do a great job.
Yeah. I want to get you out of here on this. You talk about tour a lot. This is kind of an interesting new season, isn't it? We're going to see a different look on television.
Yeah.
The schedule's just a little bit different. The makeup of the World Series of Bowling, a little bit different. Obviously, the goal is the same. Win championships, win major championships. How do you give yourself the best chance to do all that?
Yeah, it's going to be a little different, and what I've kind of told everyone is, we're just going to see how it goes this year. It's the first year with new TV rights, and I've watched some of the TV shows that that company has put on for other sports, and they've done a great job. So we'll see how that translates into bowling. I try to not get wrapped up into a lot of that stuff, and I just. When do I need to show up and bowl? And I'm going to bowl until they tell me I can't anymore. And the preparation is going to stay somewhat the same. We're starting a little bit later in the year than what we normally would. So I've got a couple of events to get ready for. Like I said, the World Championships, Team USA Trials at the beginning of January. So I have some tune-ups and ways to get ready. But then, that time before tour starts is when I really start my prep and really getting everything, not only just me personally with body and all that stuff, but with bowling balls and just getting working on the lanes to set myself up for success, because I think this is one of the first times in a while that on tour we're going to be bowling 10 consecutive weeks in a row. That's a lot of bowling in a short amount of time. I mean, I don't know that a lot of people realize like how much bowling we do. Those 10 weeks, we're probably going to bowl almost 2 full league seasons in those 10 weeks with the amount of games between majors and all the other events as well.
We just see it as convenience.
Yeah. I mean, 10 consecutive weeks on TV is a great thing, for the fans. And, like I said, we hope that CW and CBS Sports, everything translates really well into those shows, and they do a great job. But yeah, a lot of the prep is going to be just getting the body ready for that much bowling in a short amount of time, and trying to make sure that when I show up each week that I'm just concerned with what I'm doing on the lanes and not having to worry about ailments and things like that. I'm trying to do a lot of that now. I've been going through a couple of injury things, and my physio guys really been a big help for me in doing that. So yeah, just like I said, making sure the body's ready, and then like you said, the goal is the same. Make shows, win championships, get the brand on TV as much as possible, because that helps everyone, right? Yeah. So yeah, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna feel like a short season, but there's ways to kind of draw it out and to slow everything down, and yeah, I'm excited. It should be a good year.
Yeah, we're excited to see you out there. AJ Johnson, Wisconsin's own AJ Johnson.
I haven't
Embrace
quite
Embrace it.
I am. I do enjoy living up here in Wisconsin. It's a nice change of pace of life versus being in Illinois. My home will always be in Oswego. It's where my heart is. But I have turned into a Brewers fan. I'm a White Sox fan by nature, born and raised White Sox. So I need a National League team, right? And I most certainly am not going to be a Cubs fan. Right. So I will be a Brewers fan. I am a Brewers fan. But the Packers thing is going to need a little work.
Okay.
I'm not quite.
We'll work on it.
Yeah, I'm not quite there yet.
Rome wasn't built in a day. We got plenty of time for that. But best of luck on tour this season.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah.
Bowling with the Pfeff is brought to you by Chip Magnet. Raise your snack standards.
Jerry's Score More Bowling Supply inside Wagner's Lane. So Eau Claire, Wisconsin area's leader in bowling products and services since 1988. And Visionary Video Hub, video with impact.
Email bowlingwiththepfeff@yahoo.com with questions or to appear on the show. You can also reach out on your favorite social media platform.